At Take Back the Night, we have loudly proclaimed that we believe survivors. We have celebrated Indigenous women. We have gathered in joyful revolution always, and this year we will reimagine, resist, and rebuild together.
Take back the night! Take back the night! Take back the night! Take back the night! We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
to interact with SACHA live tonight, to share your pictures, thoughts, and words, to see the Take Back the Night community come together, use hashtag TBTN, Reimagine, Resist, Rebuild on Twitter. We want to start today with a land acknowledgement and saying thank you to the land we are on and to the Indigenous peoples, the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples who have been caring for this land and water for thousands of years. This land is governed by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt, which represents a treaty relationship between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and Anishinaabe with respect to sharing the land and resources. The intent of this agreement is for all nations sharing this territory to do so responsibly, respectfully, and sustainably, to not take more than we need, to not hurt the land or each other. And we see that today this agreement is not being upheld by settlers on this land. We see the ongoing violence against the land and against the Indigenous peoples who have been defending the land and water. We know that violence against the land directly causes violence against Indigenous peoples. And today at Take Back the Night, when our conversations are about gender-based violence, sexual violence, and oppression, we need to remember that Indigenous peoples disproportionately face these violences as a result of colonization and white supremacy. Indigenous people, regardless of gender, face disproportionate rates of sexual violence. About 50% of all Indigenous people will experience sexual violence at some point in their lives. Indigenous women and girls experience sexual violence at 3 times the rate of non-Indigenous women and girls. And Two-Spirit and Indigiqueer folks face again higher rates of violence than others in the queer and trans community, and face additional oppression within the queer and trans community for also being Indigenous. Today, we ask the settlers who are here tonight to reflect on not just these statistics, but also the ways that we benefit from colonization, and the ways that colonization allows us to be comfortable when Indigenous people are facing such high rates of violence. Ask yourself what it would take for you to give up comfort to actively work towards decolonization, because that is a commitment we all need to make. And to the Indigenous people who are joining us today, thank you again for your ongoing care of the land we are on and the water that continues to give us life. Thank you. I am happy to introduce Spirit Vision singers and drummers who will begin our Take Back the Night with an honor song.
I'm Luke Johns. I am from Hugo Nation, Killdeer Clan.
I'm Scott Norton, Ojibwe and Anishinaabe.
Tony Johnson, Six Nations, Cuba.
And I am Jamie Johns, and we all sing with Spirit Vision. We are about to do a song for the women to take back the night and honor for also the missing Aboriginal women. This song is it's an honor song that came to my heart all day to when we were asked to do this. It was on my mind to put this together to do justice and honor for our missing Aboriginal women, young and old. We're men that are our husbands ourselves, soon to be grandpas. We're also fathers, and we understand how it means to be walking with a clear heart, clear mind, and walking this way of having a good honor in everything we do. So we're gonna sing this song for this time. Yawa Miigwech. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Take Back the Night. This year we are virtual for the first time ever. And honestly, I am hoping that it will be the last because we cannot wait to gather again, to march, to rally, and to feel all around us the strength, resiliency, and power in our community. But this is still going to be a great and powerful night. And I hope that you have gathered with you with your household or your social bubble so that you can feel that Take Back the Night energy as we share in this virtual event. And since you'll be seeing my face pop up a few times tonight, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Miranda, and I am the Public Education Coordinator here at SACHA. But now for more important things. This year, we asked folks in the community to reimagine, resist, and rebuild, to envision a world free of violence and oppression, and what it would take to make that image a reality. And tonight, we give space to the community members and organizations who have shared with us the ways that they are reimagining, resisting, and rebuilding. And as you take part, know that this was a community effort. It took so many people to get here. And we invite all members of our community to reflect on what reimagine, resist, rebuild means to you. Because a better world is not possible if we do not envision it. And now I'm happy to introduce you to Sarah, one of our counselors at SACHA, who can tell you more about why this theme was chosen.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Jacum and I'm really excited to be welcoming you to SACHA's Take Back the Night 2020. As you know, SACHA has long been involved in the fight against oppression and against sexual violence. And that's why the space that we create through Take Back the Night has been so important to both us and to the community. Now, this past year has highlighted so many of the inequalities that we know our community struggles through every single day. The struggles of community members who are homeless, precariously housed, and living in poverty, all of whom continue to face increased challenges as a result of the pandemic. The many support workers, service workers, healthcare workers, the majority of whom are women, who have been disproportionately exposed during the pandemic. We see you. As well as the racialized communities who have been disproportionately impacted. A pertinent and ongoing problem that warrants both our attention and our anger is the systemic violence that we continue to see facing our Black and Indigenous communities. Now, this violence is historical, and it stems from Canada's legacy of violence against Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And this year has brought renewed focus to the very specific ways that racism in our policing and in our carceral systems continue to impact Black and Indigenous communities. Black and Indigenous death at the hands of police is becoming a normalized spectacle. And the outrage we're seeing in regards to the protests that are taking place in Canada and in the United States match the crime, which is the loss of human life. This Take Back the Night, we're asking you to support survivors while thinking about what justice for survivors looks like in a system that does not value the lives of Black and Indigenous peoples and does not value the lives of racialized people. We've seen the failures of such a system over and over again, especially when we remember the hundreds of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And we know that Black and racialized Indigenous survivors are treated as less credible and are less likely to be believed when they report their experiences of sexual violence. Racialized people with disabilities are also especially vulnerable, and at the same time, disproportionately more likely to have fatal encounters with law enforcement. Those are the shortcomings of a system that is not intersectional and is not anti-racist, and in fact has been antithetical to those very ideas. Those are the shortcomings of a system predicated on colonial violence and the devaluation of racialized bodies and experiences, and at the same time frames those bodies of people of color as sites of violence or as perpetrators of violence. Now, despite the inequitable access to justice, be it through skeptical law enforcement, biased courts, or calls for police protection that often turn fatal. We know that it is the stories of survivors that are often co-opted to justify why a better criminal justice system isn't possible, why radically transforming the police isn't possible, why abolition isn't possible. This Take Back the Night, we want you to envision what we need to build healthy, safe, and thriving communities. Communities that center Black liberation, Indigenous sovereignty, and decolonization. We name justice as a path to health, and we name justice as a path to safety. Justice shouldn't be a dream, and it should not be a utopia. For survivors to have equitable access to support, regardless of their race, disability status, gender identity, or sexual orientation. We challenge you to think about what this could look like and what we need to get us there. We challenge you to envision a community that you would want to live in and the systems we would need to make this a reality. Every year that we've marched together, we've taken up space, and it has always been about demanding justice on our terms, taking back our streets, taking back our communities, taking back our lives. Daring to dream itself is a radical act, and we know that a better world is not possible unless we envision it. So this year, we are asking everyone to envision the kind of world we could have, the kind of world where we are safe to walk down the streets at night and not be afraid. And we're asking you to imagine a kind of world where Black, Indigenous, and all people of color feel safe. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have our community showcase, and we were amazed with the submissions that came in and the powerful messages they conveyed with their art. Our communities are so full of talent, so please enjoy these next performances. Woo! Lisa Shen is a 21-year-old Chinese-Canadian spoken word poet from Mississauga, Ontario. Her work focuses on two core themes: expression of thought and beauty in the inconsequential. She writes to explore ideas that are important to her, or to simply capture a beautiful moment using paper and ink. Lisa has been frequenting online poetry events in the era of COVID-19. You can follow her work using @LisaShenThePoet on Instagram. Today, she'll be performing her poem, To the Boy with Teardrop Eyes.
To the boy with teardrop eyes who sang me siren songs of suicide. If you choose to leave this world, I do not want to read the note. I will not hold the gun. I do not know if this is a letter or a eulogy. I do not know if you have slipped beneath the earth or into another's body. But I will not devote my eyes to watering your grave, will not call your coffin sarcophagus. So do not list me as one of your reasons why. Do not use your last breath to whisper my name. I did not consent to being your only reason not to pull a trigger, to be life jacket, to be anything but fighting for myself. So if I am to feel sorrow, it will only be for myself. If I am to feel guilt, it will only be for myself. What you are hearing in place of me begging for your life is the sound my mouth makes when its stitches have come undone. What you are hearing in place of my body folding into a shield is the beauty my hand creates when it is no longer twisted around yours. What you are hearing is the song of a once captive bird, released at sea, fluttering back to shore.
Saffron A is a feminist musician based in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. She accompanies herself on tenor guitar and octave mandolin. Her music sits where emotion and intellect intersect, tackling themes of sexual violence, trauma, mental health, and empowerment with sensitivity and strength. Saffron A embodies the raw honesty of Janice Ian, the phrasing of Courtney Barnett, and the emotional range of Mitski.
thought I'd drown. Now the sun evaporates away some of the water. So I will learn to keep my place and they can't hold me under. Lifted high, falling low, I can sense the undertow. I watch the rhythm, feel the pace, brace myself for impact and ride the wave. The water that I'm wading in was warm but now it's cold. I'm looking for a way that I can drift back to the shore. The clouds are raining down on me, I feel my body shivering, but soon the storm will pass over me. Lifted high, falling low, I can sense the undertow. I watch the rhythm, feel the pace, brace myself for impact and ride the wave. I was so resistant to the water and the waves. I was so insistent in ignoring all the rain. Once I tried to fight the current and the tide. Now I've learned to let go and just ride. Just ride. Lifted high, falling low, I can sense the undertow. I watch the rhythm, feel the pace, brace myself for impact and ride the wave. Lifted high, falling low, I can sense the undertow. I watch the rhythm, feel the pace, brace myself for impact and ride the wave. Brace myself for impact and ride the wave.
Hello everyone, my name is Saffron A and I am so happy to get to perform for all of you. This next song is called Survivor. Here's where you found me. Here's where they left me. For all these years I've been quiet. I have taken the weight of silence. The secrets I buried, ones that I carried alone. The secrets I buried, ones that I carried alone. The secrets I buried, ones that I carried alone. You didn't believe me, refused to hear me. When someone they knew violated me. The secret I buried, one that I carried alone. The secret I buried, one that I carried alone. The secret I buried, one that I carried alone. Now you're not alone.
I believe you. There's no need to explain all the pain that you're going through. Thank you for putting your trust in me. Let me know what you want me to do. Is there any support I can provide, or is this all that you need? I believe you. Thank you for trusting me. I always like to throw in I believe you at the end of that song. This next one I'm going to play is about consent. And it's very much the basics of consent. It's called Consent 101, if you will. And our understanding of these concepts is very, very basic. And there's a lot of nuance to it. And I kind of throw in a bit of that at the end. Got one more, and it's called Patterns Repeating. And it's talking about the patterns that we find in our relationships. And you know, some can be really great. Sometimes we have fantastic people around us, but then other times we can realize that we don't always have people that are close to us that treat us with all the love and respect and care that we deserve. And once we notice that, we can, you know, make a change, have conversations, figure ways out, and, you know, do a lot of work within ourselves. And we're never fully stuck. Learning to receive a touch without expecting expectation. Fearing to give too much emotional energy.
was getting infested. You leave you depressed and lonely. All the things I am unlearning when I have you with me. All the things I am unlearning when I have you with me. My feelings are not too much, and you seem growing stronger. I'm wondering when this ride will collapse and falter. I'm terrified of finding myself in familiar situations. All the fears I am unlearning when I have you with me. All the fears I am unlearning when I have you with me. Suddenly you're gone and I'm left over reeling. How can I come down from all those electric feelings? I thought that you were safe for me. I guess that I'm too trusting. All the things that I am learning. People you love can leave you hurting. All the things that I am learning. People you love can leave you hurting. Sometimes what is normal is not right. And sometimes feeling comfortable is a sign that something about the person you're with is a pattern repeating. All the things that we are learning, all the pain we're overcoming, all the things that we are learning, all the pain we're overcoming, we're overcoming.
Thank you again for having me. Everyone deserves to feel safe and secure and cared for and like they can be their full selves, especially when walking at night. So I hope all of you have a fantastic, isolated Take Back the Night. Bye-bye.
Sabrina Reed-Smith is a third-year student taking human behavior at McMaster, who spends most of her time hugging her dog and teaching music. She identifies as someone with a disability and is hoping to pursue law school to continue fighting for a more just world. Sabrina has released 2 singles in the last year and paused an album release due to COVID, but is currently working on an acoustic quarantine EP, so stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Reed-Smith, and I'll be performing an original as well as a few covers. This first one's my original. It's called Me Too. Do you hear me? Do you understand the words I'm saying? Do you listen to anything but the sound of your own voice? For years I pretended you didn't hear me. For years I tried to convince myself you're not that type. But the more I think about how quick they are to shut this kind of thing down, the more I freak out. And when I hear about how you're still out there doing this even now, it shakes me to the core. And I don't want to dig up the past, but it still haunts me at night. I don't want to go through the motions to have them say you were in the right, 'cause I can't bear one more moment of this hell you put me through. And I can't sit here silently and pretend it doesn't kill me how you all hide the truth. Don't you all ignore it when we say me too. Don't you all brush it off when we say me too. Don't you all make your jokes. Don't you all show it with your votes. You don't care, do you? I look in the mirror, broken and tired, ask myself what I'm supposed to do. What more can I go through? But what do I owe the next girl? What do I owe the next guy? It feels hopeless, but I could change your mind. I could save a life. And I don't want to dig up the past, but it still haunts me at night. I don't want to go through the motions to have them say you were in the right, 'cause I can't bear one more moment of this hell you put me through. And I can't sit here silently and pretend it doesn't kill me how you all hide the truth. Don't you all ignore it when we say me too. Don't you all brush it off when we say me too. Don't you all make your jokes. Don't you all show it with your votes. You don't care, do you? Don't you all ignore it when we say me too. Don't you all brush it off when we say me too. Don't you all make your jokes. Don't you all show it with your votes. You don't care, do you? This one is Perfect by Pink.
Made a wrong turn once or twice, dug my way out, blood and fire. Bad decisions, that's alright. Welcome to my silly life. Mistreated, misplaced, misunderstood, no way, it's all good, it didn't slow me down. Mistaken, always second guessing, underestimated, look, I'm still around. Pretty, pretty, please, don't you ever feel like you're less than perfect. Pretty, pretty, please, if you ever feel like you're nothing, you are perfect to me. You're so mean when you talk about yourself. You were wrong. Change the much hatred, such a tired game. It's enough, I've done all I can think of, chased out all my demons, see you do the same. Oh, pretty, pretty please, don't you ever feel like you're less than perfect. Pretty, pretty please, if you ever feel like you're nothing, you are perfect to me. The whole world's scared, so I swallow my fear. The only thing I should be drinking is an ice cold beer. So cool in line, and we try, but we try too hard. It's a waste of my time. Done looking for the critics, cause they're everywhere. They don't like my jeans, they don't get my hair. Exchange ourselves, and we do it all the time. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? Yeah. You're less than perfect. Pretty, pretty please, if you ever feel like you're nothing, you are perfect to me.
This one's called Skyscraper by Demi Lovato.
Skies are crying, I am watching, catching teardrops in my hands. Only silence as it's ending, like we never had a chance. Do you have to make me feel like there's nothing left of me? You can take everything I have, you can break everything I am, like I'm made of glass, like I'm made of paper. Go on and try to tear me down, I will be rising from the ground like a skyscraper, like a skyscraper. As the smoke clears, I awaken and untangle you from me. Would it make you feel better to watch me as I bleed? All my windows still are broken, but I'm standing on my feet. You can take everything I have, you can break everything I am, like I'm made of glass. skyscraper.
Calvin Procyon is a lifelong resident of Hamilton, friend of raccoons everywhere, plant dad, mom to 2 cats, and occasional musician. Their music explores experiences with disability, chronic illness, madness, and psychiatrization, non-binary identity, and queerness. Their first song, Queering Craft, is a love song for community. It explores community as a methodology for creating new possibilities, to re-envision and recreate the world. Their second song, Darkness, is about watching the world fall apart around you.
Hello, and a big thank you for joining us at Hamilton Virtual Take Back the Night for 2020. My name is Jessica Boniadamti, and I'm the director at SACHA. This year has looked very different for everyone, and there have been a lot of changes. One of the biggest changes was the advice to stay home and isolate as much as possible. We know this is difficult for a lot of people, but for some, it's more than difficult. It's actually dangerous or even impossible. For some, staying home means being isolated with an abuser. We know that during COVID-19, the rates of violence in the home have increased, including sexual, gender-based, and child violence. In addition to increasing rates of violence, we also know that survivors have been left with fewer supports. For many, the supports that do remain are inaccessible due to barriers like accessing a private space or consistent access to a computer with a reliable internet connection. And for many, the financial burdens that COVID-19 has created have also meant significant challenges for leaving abusive relationships, particularly if financial independence is not possible at this time. We know that for many people, being reliant on an abusive partner for financial well-being is a barrier without the COVID-19. But the pandemic has exacerbated the situation and has increased the understandable fears and concerns about accessing shelters and housing supports. We know that for many survivors, support is accessible, housing, and financial independence. We cannot support survivors and ignore the social inequalities that leave some people unable to leave abusive situations and begin to heal. We cannot end sexual violence without ending the oppression and poverty that takes away a person's right to choose and their ability to develop their full potential. At SACHA, we have also heard from survivors that the current pandemic has influenced their mental health. Feelings of anxiety have increased, and it became more difficult to cope during a pandemic. Survivors are left without their usual supports, their access to loved ones, and the freedom to be in spaces that are safe for them. An increased police presence during the pandemic has also left some survivors to feel unsafe outside of their home. We understand that these fears are real and that they can have profound impacts on a survivor's well-being. But through all of this, we have also seen great resilience and communities coming together to provide support and solidarity. It is absolutely an incredibly hard time for all of us folks, and especially for survivors. But we see you. We see the ways you are fighting through this, and we stand with you, and we are here if you need support. We ask the community, regardless of what the future holds, to be mindful of the unique situations that survivors face. Know that if someone is unable to isolate and stay home as much as you think they should, there may be a very important reason for this. If someone is having difficulty coping during this time, know that there are very valid reasons for this too. We need to treat each other with respect and kindness, and understand that the circumstances of staying home in the pandemic are not the same for everyone. We need to be non-judgmental, and we need to believe survivors and support them regardless of their circumstances. To all survivors, and to survivors who have faced additional challenges, hardships, and anxieties during this time of COVID-19, please know that we at SACHA, we see you, we believe you, and you are not alone. Happy Take Back the Night 2020. Let's do this.
Take Back the Night deals with a lot of really heavy themes of sexual violence, gender-based violence, and depression. But in this next section, Survivor Voices, you'll be hearing in the words of survivors commentary on their own experiences. And we just want to say, if you need to take space right now for yourself and not engage in this content, or do anything else it is you need to do to take care of yourself, please absolutely do it. This content can be really hard to hear, and we're here to support you if you need it. Thank you to the survivors who submitted for this section. Your words are powerful and meaningful.
It begins with a set of large, hazel eyes. The first boy I ever had sex with brought me over to his dorm in residence. 3rd floor, penthouse, suite style. A palace compared to my dingy, shared room. We were meant to be practicing for the debate tournament next week. My young, naive heart, falling for his pair of liquid brown irises, had suggested that I help him figure out his opening speeches. By the time we had chosen our practice topic, his pools of caramel were staring into mine. By the time he had half-heartedly run through his first attempt at a case, his shoulder was pressing against me on the couch. I gave up on the whole endeavor when he placed his hand on my thigh. How exciting. A month and a series of Snapchats later, he is standing in my dorm room in jeans and a t-shirt. How wonderful to finally kiss a boy. How wonderful to finally lose myself to someone. How wonderful that he, golden-skinned Adonis, would have interest in touching me. It had to all happen in the same night. I was afraid he would lose interest otherwise. The kiss was rough, full of unshaved stubble and my own inexperienced teeth. He was in a rush to get clothing off. I thought there would be more foreplay, perhaps a playlist of rock music in the background. But golden-skinned Adonis boy was inside me within the span of 20 minutes. My memory of that moment is a flashbulb of recollection, as for several minutes I endured the pain of him fucking me. I remember the bright white of the overhead fluorescent lights, my hand on the cold marble of the windowsill, my head and body tense and unmoving with every thrust, eyes fixed on the ceiling, waiting for it to be over, so that I could finally tell myself I had achieved the sex I wanted so desperately to have had. Eventually, I told him to stop. It hurt too much. He paused, withdrew, and sat naked on my single bed. He joked about blue balls and leaving people hanging. He asked me to blow him. Then, hearing my response of declination, the first boy I ever had sex with pulled back on his jeans and disappeared out the door of my dorm room. That night, I was giddy with excitement. Never mind the pain. Golden-skinned Adonis boy had been mine to touch. I had kissed him and had entered the magical realm of people who have had sex. There were a few more times I will not speak about. A couple blowjobs, his hand maintaining a slight pressure on my head. A couple more sad attempts at fucking. Sex was entirely new to me, and I was terribly excited by it. I wanted to be good at it, and I wanted to be desired by him. So in all those times, I remained silent through my own discomfort. Eventually, however, golden-skinned Adonis boy lost interest in me. And so it is that 2 years and 11 months later, I find myself reading these words into the foam covering of a microphone. For much of this time, I've affirmed to myself that I was not sexually abused, because the whole time, I had agency over my own actions and the ability to stop his with a single word. But there is no consent in fucking a frozen body. And so I have come to realize that golden-skinned Adonis boy took advantage of me. That he exploited my attraction to him and my lack of experience for his own sexual pleasure, without any consideration for my emotional or physical well-being. The first time you have sex informs the way you continue on to love. To this day, no matter how tender the hand, I brace myself for pain. My partner cannot touch my head during oral sex, not even to run their hands through my hair. He damaged my ability to express affection, and I have been fighting to get it back. My weapon of choice has been a simple one: self-respect. The nurturing of a small voice inside that says, I deserve better. One day, I was suddenly struck with the realization that I could no longer remember his last name. Somehow, the first boy I ever had sex with has been reduced to 4 letters in a series of flashbulb memories. But there is still work to be done. I will continue on learning to love myself. I will strip away every leaf from the tree of my life and bloom anew. I will cut him down until he is 3 letters, then 2, then 1, then nothing.
This poem and art piece were created by Beth. The Stunning Tree. The seed is sown, it splits and sprouts. Eagerly it shoots up, breaking through, making contact with light. Slowly the seedling grows. Water and sun nourish. The seedling is hopeful, confident, delighted for what lies ahead. But slowly, fog moves in, cooler days approach, deer grazing. Storms rage and plunder, innocence shaken. The sapling is confused. Gone are the days of soaking in the sun. Only job was to grow. The young trees' bark, branches, leaves become increasingly thicker, bruised, marred. Still it withstands what nature brings its way. People walk by, mocking, for this sacred tree stands unappealing. Many branches fallen, broken, year after year, ignored, weathered, disfigured. She pushes through, swallows hard. For each storm that tests, she's determined to continue to stand. As the seasons pass, she's persistent to find out who she is, to shine. Finally, buds appear. She at last can see the storms, the fog, the mocking have only made her fight harder, grow taller. Alas, coral flowers bloom, onlookers in awe. For what she has been through, blemishes no more. She's let go of those times, let go of the pain. She is stunning. She is beautiful. She is whole.
Heal, grow, with what? How am I supposed to trust anyone ever again? How do I relearn to trust myself? How am I supposed to trust myself to be with anyone again? Trust the people around me or my own reality? How am I supposed to fall in love again? Trust my own judgment? How am I supposed to keep being myself when I've been broken over and over again to the point where I genuinely don't know who I am or if I'm even a real person? How am I supposed to not cry every time I see your face, hear your voice, or even your name? I want to be able to listen to your music again because I still love your music. I don't even want to erase everything that I've learned from you or everything that you had a part in shaping in who I am. I don't want to erase all our good memories because they are a part of who I am today. So how am I supposed to heal without losing those parts of me? How can I heal when every support refuses to believe that a woman did this to me? How can I find justice if I don't want to report? How am I supposed to feel if she goes to prison? This is not just about maintaining a good self-image, trust me. Because sometimes when I see something that belongs to her, I want to break it. I get angry, spiteful, salty, vengeful, and petty. And it takes all my force of self-restraint to put it in a box instead. The only reason I don't break it is because I'm worried it won't feel as satisfying as my pain is telling me right now. So damn, does that cup look so satisfying to break. Someday I might let myself smash it. But I think smashing your cup is as far as I'm willing to go. So how am I supposed to find solace in a world that only encourages the worst parts of me to grow? The only way I've been able to survive is by numbing myself and drinking myself closer to death every single day because I don't know how else to keep living. How am I supposed to just keep walking through the world like everything's the same, as if I'm still the same? How do I even survive? By putting up a wall for each lesson I never wanted to have to learn? If only these walls were real, then at least I won't have to worry about rent, right? Look, there's my wall for never trusting good things, and there's the wall for keeping my crazy to myself. And there's the wall for never sleeping in the same bed as another human being again. 1,001 walls would have certainly built me a castle. A fortress even. I'm so tired of building all these walls while still having to pay my damn rent. Locked up in my fortress so long, I began to forget that there's even a world outside with living beings, people who also suffer. In spite of every fiber of my being telling me not to allow myself to be vulnerable, as if what happened to me is a reflection of my failure to control an uncontrollable situation in a controlled and broken world. The only control that could ever exist is outside me, enact upon me. I am the object to its verbs, but somehow I'm the one that needs to heal. How do I not just be filled with hatred for everybody, and fear of everybody, and anger at the world that put us in such fucked up situations to begin with. How am I supposed to outgrow trauma when trauma just keeps happening over and over again? How am I supposed to get any way of justice when my only recourse is literally to take her to court, escorted by pigs to be locked away, out of sight, out of mind, to have the state enact a punishment upon her that I do not desire because I still care about her as a person? How am I supposed to heal in a world that only nourishes my spite? I don't know what to live for because I don't want to die, but I don't know how to live either. So tell me, how do I survive? How do I heal? How do I grow? All I know is not like this. I'm not looking for a cure. If you believe survivors, then you better as hell believe me when I say this is not how I heal. I cannot heal without secure housing, secure income, community support, harm reduction centers, mediators, restorative and transformative justice practitioners. I cannot heal in a world that finds me and others to be disposable. I cannot heal under white supremacy. I cannot heal under capitalism. I cannot heal on stolen lands. I cannot heal when people are literally getting arrested a few miles from here for asserting sovereignty over stolen lands. Stolen lands that our government will spend every dime to be able to extract from. A stolen land from stolen people, stolen sisters disposed of. I cannot heal while there are stolen sisters. I cannot heal until reparations for slavery and every act of institutional and anti-black racism are made. I cannot heal in a world with cops and prisons. I cannot heal in a world with cops and prisons. I cannot heal in a world with cops and prisons. I cannot heal under the threat of homelessness and poverty. I cannot heal in a cis-sexist world. I cannot heal while benefiting from plunder and exploited workers. I cannot heal while the world is on fire. I cannot heal within a system that creates the very power dynamics that caused my assaults and traumas to happen in the first place. So one day, when I'm fed up, tired of hoping and dreaming and fighting, I will walk into a police station and I will file a report against the whole damn system.
Thank you to the survivors who submitted their works for that last section. Your words were incredibly powerful. And next, we'll be sharing footage from the 1990 Take Back the Night in San Francisco, provided by SWAP, the Sex Workers Action Program here in Hamilton. This footage illustrates the ways sex workers historically have been denied space in conversations about sexual and gender-based violence in feminist spaces. That's something that still happens to this day. It also shows the ways others have labeled them as gender traitors for engaging in consensual work. Conversations about sexual and gender-based violence cannot take place without support for and the inclusion of sex workers.
She's gonna get back. She's gonna get back. She's gonna get back tonight.
We're all sex workers, and we came down here. Hopefully it won't be to counter-protest, but if it comes to that, I guess that's what it'll be. But we don't believe that violence against women is perpetuated through pornography, and that censorship in the name of protecting women isn't actually protection at all. In fact, when it's done in the guise of protecting women against violent sexual imagery, a lot gets cut out, including women's sexual voices. There's a groundswell of female-produced and feminist-produced pornography these days that's also getting silenced by censorship. And we came down here to say that we're sex-positive sex workers, and that we do it, we're not coerced into it, and it's a fun, if only part-time living for us, and that we're not manipulated or twisted by some misogynist culture, although we do live in a misogynist culture to be sex workers, and for us it's a positive experience.
Everybody says, yeah? Well, I'm a big prostitute. I've been a prostitute in this city for 15 years. A lot of women are saying they came here today kind of nervous that Take Back the Night, which has a history of, say, not doing outreach to prostitutes, right? There's this sort of a history there, so people have come kind of wondering, and I don't know, I was invited specially, so I'm happy, so. And I'm a prostitute, right? Prostitute, I get paid for sex. Okay. What about some other sex workers here?
When you say that something's degrading towards women, it puts women in like in a really weak position. I don't think that you can, there's no possible way to degrade women. You have to allow yourself to be degraded, and so I don't believe that being naked in front of people is degrading to women, or is anything. You can do whatever you want. You need to allow yourself to be degraded in order to be degraded.
I feel degraded constantly in this culture. I'm feeling very degraded, being really a big woman, and I'm 40. I'm going to be 40 like next month. I just feel like, it's like life is one big degradation. So the prostitution sometimes, for me, it's expressed aspects of that. But, on the other hand, we all get power from it. And anybody else want to talk about sex work?
Like working in the sex industry has given me a new perspective on my body and my sexuality that's been really positive and good. And meeting all these wonderful, intelligent women in the industry has really changed my attitude about pornography and the sex industry. I've been dancing for almost 2 years now, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. I feel it's really been good for me. It's been great for me to express myself in that way.
Prostitution's actually really been good for me, but now it's getting not good. It's getting one of those things that, I want to have a different job or something, but I still love being a prostitute. It's just maybe doing it less. It's hard in some way, I find. I don't know. What's the hardest thing?
The hardest thing about dancing?
Or about getting along with people and having to tell people or anything. The hardest thing about the whole shtick.
The hardest thing for the whole shtick for me is when people are saying to me, that's degrading to women. Or, my mother said that to me when I first started, and I was really torn about it. I was like, the feminists do say that's degrading. Is it degrading to women? Is it not degrading to women? No, I have no problems with it.
Better wipe that silence above the face than the wink of an eye, girl, you could be. I never did believe that it would happen to me. I would be swept away in thoughts and a crowd of the country's history. One look in my eyes could be much too bad if the truth said you'd be. I bet you feel safe when the roller is out of my feet. Girl, you don't know.
Think about this, Helen, as you're doing that.
I totally agree with these women. I totally agree with these women. I hate violent pornography. I just hate what it does to women. And I know it's a big debate in San Francisco, but as far as I'm concerned, this stuff is hate literature.
What do you think we should do with it?
I think we should expose it wherever we can, like they're doing right here. I think this is a great way.
What do you think about the women that pose for these things?
I think they're traitors to their sex. That's what I think.
Hey, ho ho. The patriarchy has got to go, but sex lives on, okay?
What's your hair? Prostitutes are everywhere. Prostitutes are everywhere.
To watch more of this film, please join SWAP on their Facebook and Twitter pages tomorrow, September 18th at 6 p.m. for the full film screening.
When I was asked to say a few words today in this important activity, I almost shied away to the offer. I asked myself, how is it still possible that as women continue to fear violence and murder because of our gender? But because I have a strong conviction that we cannot stop fighting for a safer world to all of us, I decided I needed to be here today. We must continue to bring light and action to the outgoing fight against violence against us, but we cannot keep doing this silently. As an example of the above, and driven by the same force, my fellow sisters in my homeland Chile, Las Tesis, embarking their collective work and creating the Now global anthem that denounces gender violence and the patriarchal system. This is a chant, a song where all the women in the world feel identified, and they say it loud with enthusiasm and hope. Currently, Las Tesis are fighting a lawsuit orchestrated by the Chilean policy and the police, and are being accused of initiating violence and challenging authority. By this, the patriarchal system is attempting to criminalize and silence a social and artistic movement. They use harassment, intimidation, and censorship. At the same time, Las Tesis' work has proven that all of us here and the women around the world, we stand together and fight for the same cause. It is my heart intent this moment and today and in our daily routines, we do not lose our focus, which is to always support one another, our sorority, and in solidarity. It has been a long journey as an activist that I have had the good fortune to meet vibrant, energetic, and an inclusive group of women who walk the talk. They will lead and explain the symbolism behind the choreography and the lyrics. Thank you.
Okay, so hi, we are here from Toronto from the group Apoyamos Chile, which is We Support Chile. We're here to support the ladies here in Hamilton and the ladies around the world. We've done this performance of the Tessies many times, and this performance is the meaning of against violence for women and non-binary women as well. This is actually, the Tessies was an altered of the anthem for the military. They altered the anthem and they made it as a women chant because the patriarchy system does not work. The choreography as well, it's a very basic choreography, but it also represents how women are mistreated, they're humiliated, they have been raped and murdered, and make them take their clothes off, knee themselves down. So we're here in support of that, so we can end the violence against women, the violence of all against women, non-binary as well, and this is why it's important for all of us to stick together. So from Toronto, Apoyamos Chile, We Support Chile, we're here to support all the women in Latin America and around the world.
Today you will see that we have placed 2 red dresses at the front of our group. These dresses represent the missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit folks. These dresses represent that our stolen sisters and stolen siblings are with us today and always. And we will continue to be in solidarity with the Indigenous communities fighting against the ongoing genocide against Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit folks.
1, 2, 3, 4. El patriarcado es un juez que nos juzga por nacer y nuestro castigo es la violencia que no ves. El patriarcado es un juez que nos juzga por nacer y nuestro castigo es la violencia que no es. Es femicidio, impunidad para el asesino, es la desaparición, es la violación. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. Y la culpa no era mía ni dónde estaba ni cómo vestía. El violador eres tú. El violador eres tú. Solo pagos. Los jueces. El Estado. Asesino. El presidente. El Estado opresor es un macho violador. 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 The rapist was you. The rapist is you. El violador eres tú. El violador eres tú. We believe survivors. 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 We believe survivors.
Hearing that chant makes me so happy every time. Just seeing everybody come together is a really amazing experience. And next, we asked the community to tell us what a world free of violence and oppression looks like. And the HWDSB Kids Need Help Coalition answered the call. HWDSB Kids Need Help is a group of former and current HWDSB students. They act as an advocacy body for students and families who are experiencing discrimination and injustices that are not being addressed by the school board. They operate within an anti-racist, anti-capitalist, anti-colonialist, anti-oppressive, and revolutionary framework. They practice this by sharing their resources, knowledge, and power. They are in no way affiliated with the school board. Today, we want to say a big thank you for joining us at Take Back the Night.
Hello, friends. I'm really honored to be taking part in Take Back the Night 2020. Making stuff like this work, making it accessible through the internet, it's a lovely and strange foray into the world of shared and joyful, accessible content that I love to see. So thank you for having me here at an event that honors the life-bringing forces of gender-oppressed people and seeks light and justice for us and with us. I'm Rubaiyat. I've recently started going by he, him, and I'm here on behalf of HWDSB Kids Need Help. For context, HWDSB Kids started in November of 2017 by 4 students at Westdale Secondary School in response to police violence against an autistic Black Muslim student who was forcibly handcuffed and removed from the school by the HPS. HWDSB Kids acted as an advocating body for the family, providing them with a pro bono lawyer and consistent support in addressing this violence at the board level. Since then, HWDSB Kids has been involved with students across the board. We've been to a ton of meetings with board officials. We've organized town halls to create data around the experiences of racialized and disabled students in the board, and we've connected with other student organizers who have gone on to push for change in their schools and communities as well. So I'm here to talk to you about policing. Policing, in addition to being racial, colonial, ableist violence, is gendered violence. The student who was dragged out of Westdale was a young girl. In so-called Canada, Black women and girls represent 6% of all federally incarcerated female prisoners, but only 3.1% of Canada's overall female population. While Indigenous women make up less than 5% of the population, they account for 38% of prisoners. Of women in prison. Black and Indigenous women and girls are currently being incarcerated at the fastest growing rate than any other part of this populace. The state does this for a reason. At the forefront of our movements towards liberation, at the forefront of conversations that shed light on how the state and the state's agents are responsible for the sexual and gendered violence that we experience, at the forefront of our community's healing, are gender-oppressed people. Recently, Dr. Pam Palmater, who is a Mi'kmaq lawyer, professor, and activist, spoke during the #Scholar Strike about the history of violent policing on this land. She spoke about how the Northwest Mounted Police, Canada's first ever police force, and the police force which would go on to become the RCMP, collaborated with Indian agents on reserve to strategically starve communities by denying food rations. In doing so, the Northwest Mounted Police officers would gain access to women's bodies on reserves because people were so vulnerable and were starving. I share what Dr. Palmater shared during that lecture to say this. There is no collective movement towards sexual liberation, towards liberation from all Black, Indigenous, and racialized people on this land, all disabled and deaf people on this land, all queer and trans people, all poor people on this land without abolition. The very flesh and bones of policing is white supremacy, it's gendered violence, it's ableism, it's violence against queer and trans people. When an institution is necessarily founded upon this kind of violence, there is no amount of reform, cultural competency trainings, diversity hires, workshops that will change its overarching mission. Abolition would lead us into a new era of how to talk about sexual violence, about how to address gender-based violence. Some of you may remember our historic sit-in on June 22nd this year, where, because of a very well-coordinated campaign to put public pressure on school board trustees, and in a culmination of 4 years of student organizing in the board, the Student Resource Officer program was terminated in the HWDSB. It was a magical night, truly. But the organizers and community understood that it was only a small step towards the ultimate vision of a world without police. Defunding the police would create the resources in our communities to address sexual and gender-based violence, to create cultures of sex positivity that allow us to move further towards freedom for all of us, that could allow inter-community conversations that aren't tainted with fear and mistrust of one another. But there is immense work to be done. Now more than ever, and definitely more than what I've seen in my life, is our moment to push. It's our moment for our communities to come together, for SACHA to stand with defunding and with abolition, for us to understand that we can have each other's backs, not the state. This is our moment to push. Already the culture in the city is changing. It's just a matter of how we come together. Our movements are intertwined, inseparable. It's time we understood that there is no freedom for anyone without defunding, disarming, dismantling, and ultimately abolishing the police. Thank you for your time, and thank you to SACHA for having me here to speak on behalf of HWDSB Kids Need Help. If you would like to know more about the work we do or get involved, you can follow us on Instagram at HWDSB Kids Need Help, on Twitter at HWDSB Kids, or on Facebook, HWDSB Kids Need Help. You can also join our mailing list to learn more about what we've got coming up and what we're up to. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night, and it was an honor to speak.
Hello, SACHA friends and supporters. I hope you're ready, because it's time for the Take Back the Night t-shirt design reveal in 3, 2, 1. We hope you love this beautiful shirt design as much as we do. The design was created by Sarah Jacun, who in addition to being an amazing artist, is also a SACHA staff. These shirts will be screen printed by Center 3 using white ink on black t-shirts and will be available in small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, and 3XL. Each shirt is for sale for $20, and these funds allow us to continue to offer amazing services and programs at SACHA. To order your Take Back the Night shirt, please e-transfer T at htee@sasha.ca, and in the message include your contact information and shirt sizes required. You'll be contacted when your shirt is ready for pickup at the SACHA office. Thank you for your SACHA support. Hello again. I cannot stress enough that this was really a community effort. So now let's hear from some of our community partners who want you to know you are not alone.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Reimagine.
Jet recess.
Resettle. Reimagine. Reimagine.
Hello everyone, I bring you greetings from the Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion. On behalf of our board of directors, the staff, and our volunteers, we would like to congratulate you as you celebrate Take Back the Night virtually. We would also like to congratulate all of the attendees and all the folks at SACHA for the work that they've been doing for these past years and continue to do. We are unable to be in person to celebrate Take Back the Night, and that's because of the global pandemic. This global pandemic has shown us that our current way in which our city and our society in this country is built is one that is built on exclusion, marginalization, and oppression. And as SACHA continues to work for a world free of violence, sexual violence, we have to really engage in your theme: rebuilding, resisting, and reimagining. Our current institutions definitely don't serve us, and by us being Black, Indigenous, people of color, people that come from low income neighborhoods. And we need to have this critical discussion about what community safety looks like, and what mutual aid looks like, and what a world free of violence looks like. This is the time to have that discussion, and this is the time to change our certain institutions that continue to perpetuate these injustices, exclusions, and oppressions. And I have to tell you that by challenging these institutions and the way things have been done, we are always going to hit roadblocks. We are always going to be challenged. So it's important for everyone, those that are in attendance, SACHA, ACON, Environment Hamilton, DJNO, Disability Justice Network of Ontario, the Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion, and others, to continue with the great work of trying to build a world that is just, for everyone and not just a particular few. This work is always important, and in this work we will always be challenged in terms of our motivations, in terms of what it is we're doing, and we have to stay steadfast in ensuring that we center the needs of community. This work also entails difficult conversations amongst ourselves, and we should be open to have that conversation. We should be open to also make mistakes, but at the same time realize those mistakes and do better, know better. So congratulations, continue with the great work, and let's continue to build a Hamilton that is just for everyone, where we know that women who have been affected by this pandemic, and even before, those issues need to be brought to the forefront. Issues of childcare, issues of not being paid the same as male counterparts, and these are all issues that we need to know as interlocking issues that we all have to address. So once again, thank you for the work you're doing, and HGCI, the Hamilton Center for Civic Inclusion, will support in any way, any fashion. Thank you very much.
My name is Sarah, and I am the legal advocate at Inasmuch House. In lieu of our normal tabling event at Take Back the Night, I am here to connect with you virtually. You are not alone. You are deserving of love and support, and we are here to support survivors.
Inasmuch House supporters, take back the night.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie and my preferred pronouns are she, her. I serve in a student support capacity at Mohawk College, providing information and referral and helping folks who have been affected by sexual violence to understand and explore their options.
And I'm Keegan, and my preferred pronouns are she and her. I'm the complex care navigator in the counseling department, and I work with the counselors to provide our students with wraparound support by meeting with students to check in on their mental wellness or helping with referrals.
We'd like to acknowledge that we work at Mohawk College, which is situated on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe Nations, within the lands protected by the TBTNs. We're proud that Mohawk has a support system available to members of the college community who are affected by sexual violence, whether that violence occurred on or off campus and regardless of when it happened. Providing an inclusive environment that is free from discrimination and harassment and is supportive of and responsive to the needs of survivors and those who support them.
At Mohawk, we believe that consent is everything. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence, we want you to know that you're not alone and that we're here to support you. Sexual violence can be traumatizing and isolating, and regardless of what you have experienced or what your response, we recognize that it can be difficult to come forward. Please know that we're here to support you when you're ready.
When I think about Take Back the Night, I think about empowering survivors. I think about celebrating courage and resilience, and I think about how we can work together to build new systems free of violence and oppression in all of its forms. As a Director of Development at YWCA Hamilton, I have the great privilege to be part of a passionate team of fierce advocates for women's rights, safety, and justice, inclusion, and equity for all. YWCA Hamilton has been engaged in this fight for over 130 years. And now more than ever, we are committed to reimagining the way we work, resisting old and failing power structures, and rebuilding for the better future that we all know is possible. At our core, YWCA Hamilton is a feminist organization that is rooted in an anti-racism, anti-oppression framework. Through evidence-based programs that are responsive to local needs and trauma-informed care that meets women where they're at, we are constantly innovating and expanding our services to better support survivors and address the root causes of violence against women. We know that safe, affordable housing is key to protecting women and children. And yet the waiting list for social housing in Hamilton is 6,000 and counting. Gender-based violence is the leading cause of women's homelessness, and shelters are often full, right here in our community. This means that on any given night in Hamilton, over 300 women have nowhere to go. Through our women's housing services, including our transitional living program, Phoenix Place, and Carol Ann's Place, we are on the front lines of keeping women and children safe. Along with shelter, hygiene, and housing, our programs offer individualized support, counseling, safety planning, and skill building, helping survivors move forward with confidence and with hope. Precarious employment and economic insecurity play an often overlooked role in why women stay in abusive relationships. Our employment programs work to change this story. By connecting more women to training, mentorship, and opportunities that lead to dignified, well-paying jobs and financial independence, we are breaking down barriers and opening new doors, especially for women from marginalized communities that are underrepresented in many career fields. With support from the Government of Canada, we are rolling out a brand new integration and settlement program, which will include a newcomer employment program, a support program for LGBTQ+ newcomer youth, who we know often experience violence at a higher rate than others, and a gender-based violence counseling program designed to address the collective and nuanced experiences of newcomer women in relation to trauma and abuse. These are just some of the ways that we at YWCA Hamilton are changing the lives of women, families, and survivors as we move forward together. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed all of our lives, but in many ways it has impacted women and women-identified folks most deeply, especially those from marginalized communities, many of whom were already facing violence, racism, economic insecurity, and systematic oppression. Domestic violence rates have skyrocketed across Canada as a result of this pandemic, and we are seeing more women isolated from their friends and families. Oftentimes they have nowhere else to go when home is not a safe place to be. There has been much needed recognition of essential workers being heroes during this time. But of these heroes, 1 in 3 is a woman, making less than $15 an hour with no paid sick days and minimal health benefits. They often face the greatest risk with the least protection. YWCA Hamilton is committed to ensuring that women are not disposable. We have been pushing hard through this pandemic, keeping frontline services operational and even expanding our service delivery, providing food security, connecting with vulnerable and isolated seniors, and offering flexible supports to those who need us most. YWCA Hamilton has been on the forefront of those issues most critical to women's health and women's safety. For more than a century, we have and will continue to stand in solidarity with survivors of violence and advocate for real change. We will fight for you and with you. We are here to listen, to amplify your voices, and to take action. On behalf of YWCA Hamilton, we are so proud to be here today as part of the virtual Take Back the Night. And we are ready to reimagine with you. We are ready to resist with you. And we are ready to rebuild during this pandemic and beyond. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, my name is Nox Ngomokoto, and I'm the Women's Community Development Coordinator at the AIDS Network. The AIDS Network is a local AIDS service organization, and it serves Hamilton, Halton, Haldimand, Norfolk, and Brant. We're very excited to be participating again this year in Take Back the Night. Even though it is online this year, we still stand with the survivors and SACHA, just as we have done over the years. We believe everyone deserves to have their voices heard and to be treated with dignity and respect. My role at the AIDS Network is funded by Y, which is Women, HIV and AIDS Initiative. It is a provincial network which aims to reduce HIV transmission amongst women. enhance local community capacity to address women and HIV, build safe and healthy environments to support women and their HIV and AIDS-related needs. The objectives are to raise awareness and inform local community organizations and groups that serve women about HIV and AIDS and the need for women's HIV-related services. Also, to work with staff at community organizations such as SACHA and other organizations that are participating in Take Back the Night to build their knowledge and capacity to respond to women's HIV-related needs. So some of the things that we do provide are education and training workshops, community education forums. We also make safer sex kits, and we provide resources and testing information. And right now at the AIDS Network, we are currently working on our Walk Away from Stigma event. It is going to be online this year, and it's going to be happening September 20 to 27. Our hope is to raise enough funds so that we can help deliver our most crucial programs and services in Hamilton, Halton, Haldimand, Norfolk, and Brant. Please visit our website for more information, www.aidsnetwork.ca. You can reach me or contact me via my email, which is y@aidsnetwork.ca. That is WHAI@aidsnetwork.ca. Reimagine, resist, rebuild.
Greetings. My name is Alicia and I work for United Way, Halton and Hamilton. Every year we gather with our sisters, friends, and families to take back the night. Though we are not gathering in person this year, we still march, chant, sing, create, and fight for those who have survived gender-based violence, and for those who have felt immeasurable pain through no fault of their own. Because we live in a society that has historically been violent to women, trans, and non-binary people, we at United Way are supporting services for survivors, including counseling, advocacy, and education to prevent further discrimination and oppression. Nobody should experience violence based on their body, gender, and expression, so we stand in solidarity with you and with the Take Back the Night movement. This is our message to community, and this is what United Way stands for.
Dismantle white supremacy, heteropatriarchy, believe women, trans, and non-binary folks about sexual assault, violence, and the everyday issues that we face.
Sisters, take back the night.
We stand in solidarity with survivors.
Women's rights are human rights.
We believe survivors.
L'événement La rue, la nuit, Femmes sans peur, appelé aussi Reprenons la nuit, est une opportunité unique en son genre qui rassemble traditionnellement chaque année au mois de septembre des milliers de femmes pour revendiquer une vie sans violence, incluant leur droit de se sentir en sécurité, la nuit comme le jour, et de se réapproprier la rue ainsi que l'espace public. C'est aussi un moment privilégié pour dénoncer les agressions à caractère sexuel subies par les femmes et les filles, pour exprimer notre soutien et notre affirmation que nous croyons les survivantes et les survivants de violences basées sur le genre. Bien que la plupart de ces violences ne se déroulent ni dans le noir ni dans la rue, contrairement aux croyances populaires, reprendre la rue est un symbole d'égalité, de revendication et de reprise de pouvoir. Cette année, en raison de la pandémie COVID-19 et des mesures sanitaires de prévention, le format de cet événement sera différent car nous n'organiserons ni de rassemblement ni de manifestation comme d'habitude. Néanmoins, la pertinence de cet événement reste indéniable et plus que jamais incontournable. Ce jeudi 17 septembre 2020, que ce soit dans la ville de Hamilton ou la région du Niagara, nous nous rassemblons donc en mode virtuel pour démontrer et proclamer haut et fort notre solidarité contre la violence basée sur le genre et notre soutien pour les survivantes et les survivants de cette violence sous toutes ses formes. Dans le contexte actuel de la pandémie COVID-19, les consignes de prévention et de distanciation sociale peuvent obliger les femmes ainsi que leurs enfants à rester confinés avec des personnes violentes et les isoler de leur entourage. Ceci augmente le risque de violence conjugale ou familiale ou d'agression à caractère sexuel et rend difficile l'accès aux services de soutien. La pandémie COVID-19 a particulièrement affecté les femmes qui sont déjà aux prises avec plusieurs défis socio-économiques tels que la précarité financière, l'accès au logement ou aux abris, la monoparentalité, etc. Le fait d'être francophone et d'appartenir à une minorité linguistique et culturelle, d'être une femme aînée, autochtone, immigrante et ou racialisée, d'être une femme vivant avec une limitation fonctionnelle, d'appartenir à la communauté 2S LGBTQ+, accentue d'autant plus leur vulnérabilité. Conscient de cela, le Centre de santé communautaire Hamilton-Niagara a mis l'accent sur la prévention et la sensibilisation auprès de la communauté francophone. Des mesures ont été prises pour adapter la livraison des services essentiels de soutien dans le contexte pandémique actuel tel que la téléthérapie par vidéoconférence ou appel téléphonique, la livraison à domicile d'épicerie ou de médicaments, le soutien financier, des ateliers virtuels de réseautage entre femmes, des activités virtuelles pour toute la famille, etc. Le Centre de santé communautaire de Hamilton-Niagara, à côté de la communauté francophone, réitère son engagement à sensibiliser le public et à mettre fin à toutes les formes de violence basées sur le genre. L'équipe contre la violence faite aux femmes offre une large gamme de services en français pour la population des régions de Hamilton et du Niagara. Des services d'aide personnalisés et confidentiels pour toutes les personnes s'identifiant comme femmes francophones touchées par la violence basée sur le genre, le soutien et l'accompagnement auprès des survivantes de la violence conjugale et d'agression à caractère sexuel, un programme d'intervention précoce pour les enfants exposés à la violence, des services d'appui durant la transition vers une vie sans violence et de soutien au logement, de l'accompagnement aux besoins, rencontres avec l'avocat, la cour familiale, Ontario Travail, etc., des ateliers d'information relatifs au bien-être de la femme, un programme de prévention et de sensibilisation en matière d'abus, l'aiguillage vers d'autres services et ressources communautaires. Vous n'êtes pas seul, même pendant la pandémie. Au Centre de santé communautaire Hamilton-Niagara, toute une équipe de professionnels francophones est à votre disposition pour vous écouter et vous servir. N'hésitez pas à nous contacter pour obtenir de l'aide ou des ressources par courriel au cschn@cschn.ca ou par téléphone au 1-866-885-5947 Welland ou 1-866-437-7606 Hamilton. Si vous êtes en danger immédiat, appelez la police au 911. Vous pouvez également appeler la ligne d'écoute Femmes disponible 24 heures par jour et 7 jours par semaine au 1-877-336-2433.
Hi there, my name is Jay Eatington. Some folks call me J.O.D. I'm also identifying as Jay. I'm the Vice President of the Hamilton and District Labor Council, and we are proud sponsors of SACHA, of Take Back the Night, and other campaigns that SACHA has. So I know this year looks really different in what SACHA has been doing and what the unions and the working class have been doing with SACHA. And yeah, we can't be out at City Hall this year because of COVID. You know, we can't march down the streets. Just like Labor Day, we can do that when we had 10,000 people coming out for Labor Day. And I know with SACHA, it's really different. So we have to do things differently. And this virtual experience is going to be different, but it's going to be awesome. And I just want to do a shout out on behalf of the Hamilton and District Labor Council that we support SACHA. We support all the efforts that they are doing, and we continue to call out to you, to all of you, to the unions, to the working class, to citizens. Just come out and support SACHA, and solidarity to everyone. Thank you so much, and all the best. Take care and be safe. Take care. Bye.
And that's basically it for Take Back the Night. So thank you for coming. We hope you are feeling that amazing Take Back the Night energy as you leave tonight. Or I guess don't leave because you're already in your homes. But we do want to let you know there is more coming. So next week, SACHA will be a part of the Ontario-wide virtual Take Back the Night, being led by the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centres. It's happening next Thursday, September 24th. So please check out our social media as well as the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centres social media so you can get all the details and keep this Take Back the Night energy going. Thank you again. Bye.